Hello, children. A big warm welcome to our very own channel, Ammu&You, where Ammu is ever ready with all sorts of lovely stories to narrate to you. Today, the story that I have got for you is the story of Lord Buddha. You may have heard about him. He was a great soul who taught peace and love to the world. He was a great teacher, and this is the story of his childhood, how he grew up, and how he grew up to be such a great teacher, a teacher who the whole world admired. So, children, long time ago, about 2,600 years ago, in a place named Kapilavastu in India, there ruled a king named Shuddhodhana. He was a very fair and just king, and he had a beautiful wife named Mahamaya. Both were very happy. One day, Queen Mahamaya had a very strange dream. She woke up after watching that dream and she narrated the dream to her husband Shuddhodhana. She said, "You know, king, I saw something very strange yet divine. The whole sky was filled with light, and all those rays of light suddenly turned into a white dancing elephant. And that white dancing elephant, after performing a dance, entered my womb. Now, how can that be possible, and what would that mean?" The king was also very curious to know about the dream. So the next morning, he called the great astrologer from his kingdom and narrated the dream to him and said, "What do you decipher of this dream, sage?" The astrologer heard about the dream and said, "It's good news, king. The dream says that our queen will give birth to a great noble soul who will be one of the greatest teachers in the world, and the whole world will benefit out of it." "Really? I will get an heir to my throne? Wow!" King Shuddhodhana was very happy because they hadn't any children yet. So they were very happy that they would get, that now they would have children, or rather a child. So in due time, the queen got pregnant and she was carrying a baby. And as the practice those days, one day when the time was coming near for the childbirth, the queen said that, "I would like to visit my parents' place for the childbirth." The king readily agreed and made all arrangements. So the queen, in a palki with all the men attending to her, left for her parents' house. They were traveling children those days. There were no transport. It was only by foot or the palkis where you carry in your own shoulders, and that to the people who are carrying are on foot. So it would take a long time to go from one place to the other. Now, Queen Mahamaya, with all her attendants and guards, were traveling. And after a few days, they were crossing Lumbini. Lumbini is the name of a place. And she was crossing that place and she suddenly started feeling very tired. She said, "I'm getting really tired. I think I should take some rest for some time and get refreshed." So she asked the men to stop, and she looked out of her palki and she saw what a beautiful place this is. That was the Lumbini Park. Such a beautiful green garden filled with trees and flowers and birds. So she said, "This is an ideal place for me to rest." She got out and she rested. And she felt that the time of the childbirth had arrived. And soon she gave birth to a beautiful, extraordinary child. The child was big in size as compared to the other infants. And guess what, children? As soon as the child was born, he just stood up and took 7 steps. Imagine a newborn standing up, taking 7 steps. And with every step that he took, there bloomed a lotus, a pink lotus. The attendants, the maids were all astonished. And they said, "What an extraordinary child! This has to be someone great." The king got the news and was overjoyed. Queen Mahamaya took the child in her arms and she said, "What a beautiful child I have been blessed with. I think I will go back to Kapilavastu, to my husband, who would be longing to see our child." So she ordered the attendants to turn back to their kingdom of Kapilavastu. The queen reached the kingdom and their arrival was greeted with great happiness and joy. And pomp and show, the king had made all arrangements to welcome his son, the heir to the throne. Saw the little boy and fell in love with it and said, "Queen, this looks such a beautiful child. I name him Siddhartha." Siddhartha means skilled or siddh in everything. The boon to all your wishes, the siddhi. And so he was named Siddhartha. The whole kingdom was filled with joy. And suddenly, the king got to know that the great sage Asita had come to visit him to bless the child. Now, who was Sage Asita? Sage Asita was a great learned sage who had renounced the world and for years had been practicing meditation and was on his spiritual path. He had heard about the birth of Siddhartha and he knew that this was no ordinary child. He wanted to see the child with his own eyes, and so he had come to the palace. The king and the queen greeted him with full respect and took him to the child. "Yes, we are so fortunate, sage. You have come to bless our boy. Please come." They took him to the cradle, and sage Asita, instead of blessing the child, bowed down to the child and paid his respect, saying that this is a divine soul. King Shuddhodhan was very happy. He said, "What do you see in his future?" "I see an extraordinary future for your son. He will be a great teacher. He will be skilled in everything he does. Yet, he will have a strong urge to leave everything and renounce the world to become a teacher and leader to the mankind." King Shuddhodhana said, "But how can that be possible? How can he be a king and renounce the world?" Sage Asita said, "This is what his future shows to me. See if you can prevent him from renouncing the world." And he left. 7 days after, the birth of Siddhartha, Queen Mahamaya died. Her younger sister, since then, looked after Siddhartha with the same love and devotion as his mother. Siddhartha was growing up, and great learned teacher was called to teach him at home. Just a couple of days, and the teacher saw that there was nothing to teach this boy. This boy knew everything already. So he went to the king and said, King, I must take your leave. It is not he I need to teach. In fact, I have learned so much from him. The king was very proud of his son. Now Siddhartha was a great lover of peace, animals, and nature. He would spend hours in the garden playing with deer and the birds. The king would tell him, Son, why don't you go out and play with your friends? I don't like playing with them. They are quarreling all the time, and I don't like quarreling. Siddhartha would say. Now the king would get worried that he's spending all the time alone. One day, as he was playing in the garden all by himself, he saw a flock of swans flying by, and suddenly a swan with an arrow struck fell on the ground. Siddhartha ran to the swan, picked it up, and said, Oh my God, who has shot this arrow? Let me take it out for you. And very gently but firmly pulled out the arrow. Then poured some medicinal juice on it and said, Let me nurse you to health. And after your injury is healed, I will just set you free, because that is where you belong, to the sky. As he was saying this, his cousin came running. He said, Siddhartha, have you seen my swan? Oh, yeah, it's in your hand. And I see this arrow. This is my arrow. Oh, nice. You've caught the swan. That's my prey. I had shot that arrow. So the swan is mine. Give it to me. No, I can't give it to you, Devadatta. This is an injured swan, and I want to nurse it back to health. You can't. This is my swan, because I had shot him. Both had an argument, and no one was ready to accede to that. So they went to the king. The king was sitting with all his ministers. They heard both the sides of the story from Siddhartha and Devadatta. And all the ministers were divided in their opinion. Someone said Siddhartha should have the swan. Someone said no, it was Devadatta's arrow. He has shot it, so he should have it. Suddenly, a wise old man out of nowhere appeared and said, Let me give my judgment. The king said, Yes, please, we would love to hear your wise judgment. The sage said, Life is the most precious to each one of us. So someone who saves life should be the rightful owner of that living being, not the one who has tried to take that life away. By that logic, Siddhartha should be the owner. And much to Devadatta's disappointment, the swan was handed over to Siddhartha. Siddhartha nursed it very gently and lovingly, and as soon as it healed, he set it free in the sky, saying, Go and enjoy your freedom, friend. That is where you belong to. Now Siddhartha was happily spending his time in the palace peacefully with his own self. And the king was not liking this, because though Siddhartha had learned all skills, archery, swordsmanship, horsemanship, everything, but he did not like practicing them. He would prefer spending time alone with himself. So he spoke to his chief minister and said, I think we need to take Siddhartha out of his solitude and engage him into this worldly world. The minister suggested Siddhartha to get married. Wow, a lovely idea. So let's start looking for a deserving bride for him. The minister came up with a very nice proposal. The princess Yashodhara was very beautiful and talented. So the next day itself, Shuddhodhana went to Princess Yashodhara's father and proposed the hand of Siddhartha for their daughter. Princess Yashodhara's father said, I know my daughter is very talented and good. I've been having many suitors for her. So let there be a fair competition. Whosoever wins can be bridegroom for my daughter. The king agreed. There was a fair competition, and to King Shuddhodhana's delight, Siddhartha won in every game competition that was kept. In every single thing, swimming, horsemanship, swordmanship, archery, everything. And Yashodhara was also very impressed, and both of them got married. Seeing them married, Shuddhodhana was so happy. And to make their lives even more comfortable and beautiful, he gifted them 3 palaces. One for the winters, Rama Palace. One for the summers, Suramma Palace. And one for the rainy season, Shubha Palace. Now, our Siddhartha had a very comfortable life with his wife. But somehow, even though he loved his wife, he was all the time curious to know more. So he would want to hear music. He would want to hear about the land beyond his palace. And the singers would come and sing songs. They would sing songs describing the other countries, other worlds. And our prince would wonder, are these places really true? I want to see them. So one day he told his father, Father, I have read and heard so much about this world, which is beyond our palace, and I have not seen it. I would want to have a look at it. King Shuddhodhana thought that there's no point in stopping him. So he made arrangements for him to go out with his chief minister. And he told the minister to create happy atmosphere all around. There shouldn't be anything unpleasant that the prince should get to see. So the people of the kingdom were told, and they all came out in the city. Colorful clothes, cheering the king when the king went on his chariot, when the prince went on his chariot. And Prince Siddhartha was so happy. My God, it's so lovely outside. Such beautiful gardens, forests. The people look so happy. There are so many smiles on everyone's faces. They look so nice. Life is really so beautiful. Stop, 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 stop. The chariot stopped. Yes, Prince, what is it? The charioteer asked. Channa, who is that man there in that crowd? He pointed out. Oh, that's an old man, Prince. Old man? What is an old man? An old man is a man while growing up from a baby to being young, Then slowly, slowly you grow old and you become weak and frail. Everyone does that. Yes, this is the law of life. Everyone has to become old. Oh my God, this is such a sad sight. Now, Channa, the charioteer, took him ahead. And again, he saw all happy faces and beautiful places. Suddenly, he said, "Stop, stop, 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 Channa. What is it that I see? What is that man doing there? Lying there alone on the ground?" "Yes, Prince, he is a sick man. He is old and sick. He has some disease." "Disease? What is disease?" Siddhartha had never seen anyone sick. A disease means when your body becomes weak and is attacked by germs from outside, and you become sick and are in pain. Everyone becomes sick. Yes, Prince, everyone becomes sick sometime or the other in life. So much pain for this man. Why? This is the law of life, Prince. And Channa took him on his chariot further. After again some happy, happy sights, suddenly Prince stopped the chariot and said, "Now what is that? Why are these people carrying a man on their shoulder? And this man is covered with a white cloth. What is this?" "Prince, that's a dead man. He is being carried by his people to be cremated. The body is no more with life." "What do you mean by that?" "I mean that everyone has to die. After old age, you die, and then your body is devoid of life, and you are gone forever. The body is burnt or cremated, buried." "What are you saying, Channa? I have never heard about such horribly sad things. How can a body be burnt and cremated and buried and gone forever? You are born, you grow up happy, you have your own people, your parents, your children, and then you die, you leave everyone and go away." "Yes, Siddhartha, this is law of life." "What pain and suffering is this life?" And as he walked again, as he traveled again in his chariot, further he came across a hut, and outside the hut sat a sage meditating. He had big long beard, and he sat there meditating alone. His face was calm and at peace. Siddhartha asked the charioteer, "Channa, who is this man and what is he doing? And his face looks so calm, unlike all the other faces." "Yes, Prince, he is a sage. He has left the worldly world and he is finding peace, truth in life. And in search of the truth, he is meditating. And so he is now devoid of pain and suffering, and hence he is so calm." Now, after seeing all these four sights, our Prince Siddhartha was terribly moved. All those four sights kept on playing on his mind. He reached back to his castle. His wife was waiting for him. "Where did you go?" "I just went out to have a look of this real world. I had never seen the real world." "But why do you look so sad?" I am just finding some answers. There are too many questions going on in my mind, and I don't have the answers. What are those questions, Siddhartha? I'll share them with you. Let me get sorted with them first. And Siddhartha would all the time keep thinking about those questions that would keep playing on his mind. All those four sides, the old man, the sick man, the dead man, and the wise, calm man. All these four sides would keep coming to his mind one after the other. And one day, he got the wonderful news that his wife had given birth to a son. A son? Wow! He went to see the son, and his wife said, "Congratulations, what a beautiful son we have. Let's name him Rahul," Siddhartha said. "That's a lovely name." Now, suddenly a few days later, Prince Siddhartha just left the palace without telling anyone. He took his charioteer and rode far away to the forest, reached a place deep in the forest where he found that it was lonely and serene. He handed his horse to Channa, his charioteer, and said, "Channa, I will stay back. I need to find the truth of life. I cannot live in that palace. Please go and tell my father that I will return when I find the answers to my questions." Saying this, he left Channa, and Channa went back with his horse. Siddhartha found a big Bodhi tree, sat under it, and started his meditation. After a long time of meditation, he found answers to all the questions, and he realized that life is indeed full of suffering and pain. And the only way to peace was to lead a life of detachment without being too involved in the worldly matter, without being attached to the worldly matters. He got enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, and that is why the Bodhi tree became famous. And the day of the birth of Siddhartha is celebrated as Buddha Purnima. It was a full moon day. It was in the month of May and a full moon day. And so it is celebrated as Buddha Purnima. He started having disciples, and through those disciples, he spread this learning that he had attained through his meditation. And that was known as Buddhism. It was spread all around the world, and you will know more about it. As you grow up, you will study in your history book. So this was the story of Lord Buddha, who taught the world non-violence, truth, peace, detachment, saying that these were the only ways to lead to a calm and peaceful life. So children, I'm sure you would have loved the story. And I'm sure you would have become more curious to know about Lord Buddha. You can read up. And you know what to do now? Like, share, subscribe to spread the word that Ammu is here, ready to tell stories to all the children in this world. Reach out to them. Stay happy. Be good. Wait for Ammu, where she comes with another beautiful story only for you. Till then, thank you so much for listening to this story. Ammu really loves you. Be good, be truthful. Bye.